this meeting to order. Welcome to our first TV Toastmasters meeting for 2015. I'm Emily Garrett, and I'm standing in for our president, Steve Ehrenholz, who could not be here tonight. We are located at the Anderson Community TV station on 5 Mile Road. We're club number 9523. You can visit us at tvtoastmasters.com. Tonight, we have a good group. We have several new guests. I'd like to introduce Randy Rappin, Bill and Alex Thorner, and John Gant. Welcome to our club. Tonight's Toastmaster, who will keep our meeting running on time, is Carol Kormelink.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer, and welcome to everyone in our studio. It's great to have a bigger crowd than we usually have. I thank everyone for being here. And my job is to keep, as she said, the meeting running on time and to provide a smooth transition between speakers. If you will look at the program, you'll see that we have the Toastmaster, and then we have the impromptu session where we have a word of the day and table topics. And then we have the prepared presentation session where we have two special advanced manual speeches this evening that are rather involved. That will be fun. And then we have the listening, responding, and reporting where we give feedback, which is one of the best parts of Toastmasters. You get immediate feedback on what could have been done better. Our first part of the day, our word of the day, where did he go? Our grammarian is Rick Barron. He's an advanced communicator bronze and an advanced leader silver. And he will give us our word of the day to help us increase our vocabulary. Let us welcome Rick Barron.
Thank you, Carol. I get a couple of roles here with word of the day. The first is, as Carol stated, that I provide a word of the day that I challenge you to use every time you're up here at the lectern. And today's word, as you see down here, is cogitation. Cogitation is a noun that means concerted thought or reflection. In a sentence, after hours of cogitation, he came up with a new proposal. Your challenge, as you make it up here to the lectern, is to use cogitation. You can see there are a few other definitions there, but I assume that at least the people in the studio who will be using the word can read that, and I don't need to read that to you. In addition, I have another role, and I am the and counter. One of the things in Toastmasters that we find is that people tend to use killer filler words. You know, so, those kinds of killer filler words. And what we do is we help you by counting the number of killer filler words you use while you're up here so that you can start improving, reducing the number of killer filler words that you use while you're up here. In addition, in my role as grammarian, I will try to help you improve your use of the English language. As an engineer by degree, that might be a little tough for me, but if it's intuitively obvious, even I will catch it. I will bring it up in my report afterwards. Thank you, Carol. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you. And the challenge, as he said, is to use this when you're up at the lectern, and because the word is up here, there's no excuse for you not to try to use cogitation. And I put an N in there, and I was wondering why it sounded different when he says cogitation, concerted thought or reflection. I do not cogitate. I have never had a filtered thought in my life. So this will be a good word for me to remember. Our next part of the meeting is where we have the impromptu session, where we ask a question not of your choosing, and you have 1 moment from the time that you come up from your seat to the lectern to come up with some reply. And the purpose of it is to sort of catch you off guard, as your boss does when he asks you that unexpected question and your brain freezes. This will teach you how to keep your brain from freezing when you're asked that unexpected question. So I will ask the question and choose someone in the audience. I am in charge of the F-Loop Division contest. I'm the contest chair and the chief judge, and helping the division governor for our division contest, which we're part of. And it's on March 28th at the Seasons Retirement Center Auditorium in Kenwood from 12:30 until 3. I want to drum up business to that because it's my high-performance leadership project. And my goal, we had 37 at the fall contest. My goal is to have 100 attendance at the spring. That's quite a feat. So I want to make sure that you know that you should go. And my first question is, have you ever attended a division contest? And what would motivate you to attend the F-Loop Division contest on Saturday, March the 28th? Emily?
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for selecting me to come up here. I believe I attended a contest last winter, or maybe it was in August, I don't even remember. It was last year at American Modern Insurance Group. I believe you were there, and it was Tabletopics and evaluations, I believe. And it was very interesting. It was my very first one. I did not participate. I was there to greet people and to see what it would be like. And it looks like a lot of fun. I think it would be more fun to participate in this type of thing, especially if it was a humorous speech contest or something like that where there were prepared speeches. I think I would really enjoy that. So if there wasn't a lot of snow on the ground and ice on that day, March, you can get pretty much anything around here, then I believe I would be motivated to go.
As long as you said what, I was doing something else. When you said, as long as there was no snow, is that what you said? Or would you
Snow
say?
and ice, yes.
Snow and ice in March?
In
I hope not.
March, it does happen.
Thank you for that. And if you were the first timer at our division contest this time, you will be in for a drawing for a $39.95 dinner for two, Marco dinner for two from Maggiano's in Kenwood. All of the first timers. So I hope we have about 50 first timers. What was your motivation for attending the division contest, Michelle?
Well, Carol, now that I think about it, I might have been at an area contest. Is that the second you go from your club contest to the area?
And then the division.
I have not been to a division contest, but if I was to go to a division contest, it would probably likely be really to see the skill levels. I mean, our club contest is always interesting because usually they're very good speeches. Then you get to the area contest and the speakers are phenomenal. And then you get to the division and I imagine that they are just fantastic speakers, very well rehearsed, very well prepared, and very entertaining. So that would probably be the reason I would go to the division contest. Since I have not attended one and you have a goal, Carol, to achieve 100 guests, I believe you said, I will commit, as long as I'm not in Las Vegas, because I am going to Las Vegas in March. But if I'm not in Las Vegas, I will commit, what was the date again?
March 28th, the last Saturday of the month.
Okay. I think I can make it, and I will help in any way, shape, or form.
Great. Well, thank you. That was my next question, so I already got the answer to that question. So my next question is, I wanted you to come up with another reason to attend a division contest, especially the International Speech Contest. Rick Barron. He has to come from the control room. Here we're wearing more than one hat tonight.
Thank you, Carol. I get a little more time to rehearse my response coming from so far away. Why would you want to attend a division contest for F Division? Why wouldn't you come? If you think about what we do at those contests, we celebrate the achievement of the people who are speaking, the level that they have reached in terms of their ability to communicate, their ability to get a point across, and their ability to essentially bring a tear to our eye. Because in most cases, the stories that they share in the International Speech Contest are so moving that you want to be there just so that you can participate in the emotional event that occurs as each of these speakers share their story, because each and every one of them has a story to share and a lesson afterwards. And I go home after attending that contest and I go, wow, what I got was a synopsis of, in many cases, 300 to 400 years of collective living experience shared with me in 5 to 7 minute snippets. Where else can you get something that great for free? Carol.
Thank you. And you also have been a contestant. I don't know if you've gone to the division, but I know you've been in the area. Have you been a division contestant?
Yes, I have.
Yes, so he's been a contestant. He's very good. Thank you very much for that, Rick. Okay, I know that we have some guests in our audience who aren't familiar with what the contest is. So I would like to ask Randy, what's all this mean to you? You don't want to talk? Oh, who said they'd talk? I thought they said somebody wanted to talk.
I'll talk if I have to.
Bill.
Bill, okay, yes. If you would like to tell us, what's this mean to you? Because it means nothing right now, but what could make it mean something to you?
Thank you, Carol.
A guest
Appreciate it.
that's coming to answer.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
An
And
event
he's the
would be
word of the day.
would be incredible. I think you have a chance and opportunity to really stand out among your peers, your colleagues, your coworkers, the people at church, the membership that you belong to. It's really paramount to be able to be in an organization that you can really stand out. You be comfortable in front of the people. You be comfortable at work, at home. Take your communication skills to the next level. And I asked myself, how would you do that? An event would be able to recognize among your peers, among your colleagues, and really make yourself stand out. When you're among your peers, you'll be among the best of the best and really be able to stand out. I always thought when I came here today, how could you do that? It's an opportunity with Toastmasters, an event like this, on a weekend, right before March Madness, to really take the madness to speaking to really the next level. So if this is you, let's have an opportunity to really stand out and compete with March Madness in this great speaking event. I wish all of you could have an opportunity to do that, and look forward to each one of you being there in person. I appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you.
very
I
much.
appreciate your answer. And when you join, you can be in the evaluation contest. You don't even have to wait. You can't be in the international because you need to be a member to have given 6 speeches first. But you certainly could be an evaluator. Great. I've got you down, Melanie, for evaluation. I think that will conclude my table topics for tonight. And we will move on to our prepared presentation session. Our first presentation this evening is going to be from the Interpersonal Communications Manual, the successful, wait a minute, sorry, I have the wrong one. Let me get number 1 here. The Public Relations Speaking Under Fire, and I love her title. That's one of the things, come up with a good title. You're nuts. Openly hostile audiences are common and challenging to any public relations speaker. The speaker must find a way to dispel the hostility and convince the audience that her side has merit. Emily will be doing a prepared speech from the Advanced Public Relations Manual, Project 4, Speaking Under Fire. She has a 3 to 5 minute presentation, followed by 2 to 3 minutes for questions and answers. Let us welcome Emily Garrett. You're nuts. You're nuts, Emily Garrett.
Thank you. Hello, I am Gwendolyn Lee. I am the chairman of Limbo Airlines. I would like to address a recent incident on one of our transatlantic flights. For those of you who do not know about the incident, here is what happened. One of our executives, specifically our head of in-flight services, was traveling on a recent flight and was involved in a dispute with crew members. The flight was leaving John F. Kennedy International Airport on December 5th out of New York, when the flight attendant served our executive, Mindy Lee, some macadamia nuts in a bag instead of on a plate, which is our clear procedure in first class. Although her role put her in charge of in-flight services, she was not flying in an official capacity. She ordered the plane to return to the gate so that the senior crew member who served her incorrectly could be removed from the flight. I can assure you this is not typical behavior of one of our executives. However, she was VP of in-flight service, and she took her job very seriously, with her mind on strict standards of service to our customers. I understand that flying, especially on a transatlantic flight, is a time when our employees need to take the utmost care to make our passengers feel safe and assured that they are in safe hands, and that it is important to avoid delays whenever possible. The safety and the security of the passengers is our highest priority, even above the type of service that you receive. At no time were the passengers in any jeopardy. However, the situation caused them some discomfort and fear, and for that reason, I have asked for and received Ms. Lee's resignation from our Sales and Service Division. While she has removed herself completely from this division and clearly understands the pandemonium that she caused, she has been a key contributor to our standards for success. She joined our airline in 1999 and has been instrumental in establishing a new corporate identity for Limbo Air. However, I assure you that this incident was not what we had in mind. Mindy Lee has asked me to publicly apologize on her behalf and to assure you that she takes full responsibility for her actions and has stepped down from her post. She remains on staff in a different capacity at this time, while an investigation is underway by the local government prosecutors and the Transport Ministry, as well as an internal investigation by Limbo Airlines. She may face charges of in-flight violence with the crew members, which I would find extremely surprising. And also, she may find herself charged with altering a flight route. The plane left JFK about 20 minutes late, and it arrived at its destination only 11 minutes late. I want to personally apologize for this incident and for the young woman who is also my daughter. I was both surprised and disappointed at her behavior, and I should have been able to do something to prevent this from ever happening. I have not pressured any employees to lie to the government over this matter, and as I have been accused, and I urge all Limbo Airline employees to speak truthfully to the government so that we can get this investigation out in the open and put it behind us. Limbo Air has high standards of service and safety to customers, and I hope you will continue to trust us with your transportation needs. We will do our very best to serve you in the highest capacity possible. I hope you will all accept our sincerest apologies for this matter, and we would also like to cover all passenger baggage fees for the entire year of 2015. I sincerely regret what happened and hope you will find it in your hearts to forgive us. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
I would suspect that you would have a zero tolerance policy for that type of behavior. Is the fact that she is your daughter and still remaining on staff have anything to do with it?
We do have a zero tolerance policy, and she has been completely removed from the sales and service division and any interest with the customers. This is not because she's my daughter. We don't want to hastily dismiss an employee from the company altogether when she may be able to serve the airline in another capacity without any contact with the service department.
Or said, repeat the audience question.
Oh. Okay.
So with only covering the baggage fees, how were the customers that were affected on that flight compensated for the inconvenience and obviously distress that would have probably been perceived for being redirected back to the airport?
Yes, and I sincerely apologize for that. The passenger baggage fees are being covered in addition to compensating the passengers that were on that flight who have all been given vouchers for another flight. We regret that the disturbance that was on the flight, and although it can't be taken back, we hope that the passengers will, the compensation of being able to fly again on another flight without having to pay would cover that. Are there any more questions? Yes.
How about the flight attendant who was the subject of the confrontation? How has that flight attendant behaved or responded, and has there been any type of resurrection of the situation in her case?
The question was asked how the flight attendant has responded about the situation. She actually has been given some time off for vacation and has a promotion coming. She was already a senior crew member, but she has been promoted within the sales and service division, and Ms. Lee has apologized personally to her for her actions. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
In the name of transparency, what actions would it be taken if someone were to accuse, as you did mention, that there'd be other issues or other underlying motives for Ms. Lee? Is she going to be any time reinstated, or is there a termination of employment coming?
This all depends on the investigation. She is facing several charges and actually may do some prison time, and we would not tolerate having her on our staff if the investigation determines that she is guilty of these charges. But in the name of letting the innocent not charging the innocent with punishment, we want to wait until all of that has been cleared up before we make a decision about what to do.
Very well.
I think we've run out of time. Thank you very much for your attention and for your questions.
And thank you for that interesting scenario. And we will be right back in a minute or so.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.
Welcome back. Our next presenter will be presenting a role-playing situation with me, and he will present first a 4 to 5 minute speech about the negotiation process. This will help the audience understand the presentation's objectives and to evaluate the presentation. Second, he will be briefly introducing the scenario that he has chosen to play with the partner, which is me. And third, Rob and I'm his reluctant partner, will role-play the negotiation in 3 to 5 minutes. And fourth, There will be 2 to 3 minutes for an informal discussion about the negotiation process that just happened. For instance, what might have been more effective or could have been said or done differently. And let us introduce Rob Pease, the negotiation, Rob Pease, visiting from another club.
Thank you, Carol. For this speech, it is about reaching an accord. In this speech, my goal is to develop a successful agreement with my role-play partner. But first, I have to explain where I'm coming from. I have given more than 20 speeches, and you were able to use myself and my own resources for the first 10. They did not involve coordinating a schedule with somebody else. And I was also confined to my own club for these 10 speeches by my own volition. But I did find that there were other clubs and other opportunities to speak and to provide information, learn how to present different types of speeches, and then also visit clubs like I am with you today. And so I found that Carol has been an instrumental ambassador of Toastmasters. She even wears a button that says, if it isn't Toastmasters, if it isn't fun, it isn't Toastmasters. And so when I visited her at another club, I've been able to give speeches at our ACES club. But I've found that sometimes visiting clubs, we don't have as much time as we would love to have afforded to all speakers because we do count on time. So I've reached out to Carol for advice on, aside from using my own club, what resources I could use. And so that brings me to your club tonight. And I'm able to give speeches at my own club, at the Madeira Club in Seasons for ACES, and then also this club. And I knew Carol was willing to be a role-play partner for her. It became a location question, a question of venue. And that's another part of this speech was Carol and I needed to come to an agreement of where this speech would be given, which club would it be involving. And then also we had to come up with a topic that we would be able to agree upon and respect each other's comfort level. Carol and I have vastly different interests and many different hobbies that we share and different life experiences. And so when Carol and I began discussing where this project would lead, we had an ongoing conversation. For this manual, Successful Negotiation, it brought up many different avenues for us to pursue. So it's a matter of being accommodating of time and accommodating of location and interests to be able to share. You also want to establish a win-win in any negotiation so that both parties feel like their objectives were met and that they were satisfied with the behaviors or the questions that were being asked. And so that will be part of this speech as well, so that you would see the process of a win-win as opposed to a lose-lose where neither party feels satisfied with the answers that were and the objectives that may or may not have been met. Part of this speech is to break the ice, making sure that you have a good standing relationship. Between these relationships, it's important to build on those to obtain the objectives of both parties. I statements, being honest and direct, help explore what each party is looking for, and it makes a successful negotiation possible. From this point, I will go on ahead and call up my role play partner, Carol Kormelink. Some of our discussion has been, what should we talk about? But first we have to decide which venue. So I asked Carol if I would be able to join her at her ACES Club in January. And I was told at the ACES Club in January, Carol, was that available?
No, we have nothing until March.
So she told me that we do not have any any openings in our time schedule in January. And I have already exhausted my personal club in Madeira. I've already signed up for the contest on January 26th, and I signed up for January 12th. So I asked, is there another club in this area that might be able to afford a recorded speech so that I can go back and look at my speeches and evaluate myself on the current presentation skills that I'm demonstrating? And when I asked if there was what Thursday club, I asked Carol, is there a Thursday club that would be available for me to use?
TV Toastmasters, and we generally have openings for a speaker. We have a smaller crowd on Thursday night. We'd welcome you.
Oh, well, I thanked her so much. I thank you again for letting me the opportunity to speak. And I was also starting to discuss what type of topics would we talk about. Over the course of the summer, I was trying to launch a youth leadership project where I'd be using Spanish and English with high schoolers to provide youth leadership in a Toastmaster format. And Carol, I asked, would we be able to discuss that at this venue to talk about a youth leadership project in Spanish? And was that a possibility for you?
I would be uncomfortable since I don't know Spanish and I'm not going to be involved over there at the youth leadership. I would not be comfortable discussing that.
Okay, Carol, I appreciate you telling me that you wouldn't feel comfortable. I'd like to suggest some other topics to see if we could come up with an agreement as to where we would be able to go with the speech. Do you have any experience with having, like if I was an instructor in teaching, I could be an instructor teaching lessons of some sort. Some of my strengths would include tennis, voice lessons, or I could teach Spanish lessons if you have a dependent or a person that you're caregiving for, that I might be able to provide additional structure for these skills or these classes. And Carol, do you have perhaps anybody like a dependent that you might be caregiving that would be able to help, that might be able to help you and learn one of these skills?
When you called on the phone, you actually said a gifted 13-year-old child that you would be teaching. I'm going, I know nothing about a gifted 13-year-old child. I have no experience with that, and I would not be comfortable with that either. But you mentioned caregiving. Now, I was a caregiver for my husband for 6 years with Alzheimer's, so if you had a scenario giving care like that, I would probably be able to help.
Okay. Well, I did as a high schooler in college. I volunteered at the Drake Center, and I was aviary care. I took care of the birds in the cages to help entertain the people in Drake Hospital, and some of them do have Alzheimer's, but I really don't feel comfortable in that element to discuss life situations for being a caregiver. So this kind of led me to think, okay, we've tried to go back and forth with so many different ideas. We've actually discussed.
We've actually negotiated.
We've been negotiating this whole time. So we have an agreement to disagree and not be able to provide services for each other. However, we still have an interchange and an exchange of ideas of how we could provide this speech. We've negotiated different topics, and we've agreed that we can agree to keep on talking about Toastmasters as being a venue to share our interests, even though we can't come with another more in common answer than these two subjects and suggestions. So from this point, I'm going to go on ahead and open to the floor for a 2 to 3 minute informal evaluation. Do I have any volunteers to assess our feedback from our role play?
If we could have done anything differently or better or,
In the sense of the, I'm sorry, from the audience, in the sense of the negotiation or the sense of the discussion?
Both.
how we negotiated. A negotiation is to keep finding the common interest. And our common interest is that we didn't.
I liked the way when Rob asked you about the caregiving, when you said, I can't do that, but here's what I could talk about, where you then suggest something back to him. That's helpful in a negotiation. Instead of just saying no, you made a suggestion.
A counteroffer.
Yes.
Was that a very good example of finding the common ground that you agree?
I think that helps you towards getting there if you are proactive in trying to help him find the common ground.
I think it definitely had the basis for negotiation, common ground, but I think that when you negotiate, it's so much more of a dialogue, or if it's in written form, it ends up being back and forth, and I think that the basis would definitely showed it, but the transitions may not have been as smooth as when you're actually sitting negotiating on the phone. Like you mentioned, on the phone, you said X.
Mm-hmm.
That's more clear of what negotiation is, because negotiations tends to be one-on-one, and I think that could have been a little smoother, if that's what you're asking. Because
Yeah.
but I think you definitely had the basis of showing the back and forth give and take that has to happen for negotiation to be successful. And sometimes they're not, and you showed they weren't, because there was just so much disparity of what the need is that you couldn't meet in the middle.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that's part of anybody else? Any other? But I appreciate your feedback. Okay.
I think
Then-
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I think negotiations can be hard for anybody. And I think I applaud you for getting up there and trying.
Well, if you keep an open mind, you will find, if you look at two icebergs, they're way, way, way far away. Down on the ocean floor, there's this 15% where they overlap each other.
And that's sort of
And
where.
if you don't close your mind,
And that's also sort of where I was trying to go with this when I was supposed to establish what the issue is. My issue was, how can I get a speech out? And maybe that's not what I didn't amplify that enough, that I was going for a speech regardless of what topic it was. Not to sound like I'm self-serving, but I was trying to get a speech for the manual and whatever would get me there.
And I think you successfully did that.
Okay. Well, great.
thank you, Rob, for that speech, and thank you for all the work that you have put into that. Here's your other note.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did a lot of cogitation on that. I now get to return control of the meeting to our general evaluator this evening, who will be handling the listening, responding, and reporting. And I'd like to welcome Michelle Lewis, competent communicator and competent leader. You are competent.
Well, thank you, Carol. So this evening, my role is to be the general evaluator. And as a general evaluator, I have a team of folk that help me give feedback during the second portion of the meeting. And that's really the time where we learn, and we learn how we can improve ourselves and how we can improve our skill set. So today I have a team of both myself and Melanie will be doing the evaluations for Emily and Rob's speeches. And then I also have Rick Barron, who is our grammarian. He is a part of the evaluation team, and also Bill as the timer. So first, I'm going to call Melanie up to give an evaluation for Emily's speech.
Thank you, Michelle. Emily's topic and speech was "You're nuts."
I don't know how you kept a straight face through that speech. That's the first thing I have to say. Vertigo and nuts actually had me laughing internally because I can see that actually happening, knowing how crazy some PR is. Okay, I'm showing my ignorance of modern. Okay, well, I didn't know that, and I was laughing, so obviously, I think that your speeches are always well organized. It was definitely well organized. You had all your facts and figures. The one thing that you are always great at, you always have a steady voice. And to deliver a topic where you're apologizing to the public because your own daughter screwed up your company, I shouldn't have said screwed up, had issues with the staff was amazing, because standing up there I could see your regret in your voice, but it was very steady and not a lot of emotional inflection. As a professional who has to stand in front of the public, keeping a steady voice and a tone of regret in your voice was a perfect use of your vocal variety. It wasn't as extreme as some of the other things where you get excited, but you wouldn't want to get excited in that situation because you are, again, apologizing to the public about something someone did on your staff that you happen to be related to. I think you had good use of eye contact. The only thing I noticed at one point was you were trying not to laugh, and that did come across halfway through your speech, but I think, again, your topic, and you caught yourself beautifully. It was, I'd say, 15 seconds and you moved on. So we all do it, we all lose it, but you didn't lose it. You let your mind go there and then you moved on. Like I said, I think you had a very steady voice, which is really important for the topic. I think you had good responses, but as Rick reminded us, do remember to repeat the question if you have an audience of people asking you questions, because you can hear them, the audience on the TV cannot. And that's a pretty common use in a PR situation, which is what your book's about. I would watch your use of negative words when you apologize or answer questions. What I mean by that is words have different meanings depending on how you're using it, and in general conversation it might be fine, but on the camera you might have words that flip. Things like, I'm sorry, or you would rather say things like, is it a regrettable situation? There's more gravity to the word regrettable than I'm sorry, if you know what I mean. Personal preference for me, I may not be expressing it in my 2 to 3 minutes quite as succinct. I think that you dealt with the questions very distinctly, even though when you had feedback about repeating questions, you didn't stop. You kept going with the questions. I don't have a lot of more constructive criticism to give, because I don't think that it was the topic, because you had to keep it serious and you had a very flat tonal quality, though you had concern in it, was exactly the appearance you should have had for that kind of topic. But I will say at the end, vertigo, airlines, and the nuts, I did not realize it was a real thing. I was sitting there thinking it's a great speech, and it's a great speech topic, and a great, like Carol said, it's a great speech title, because I'm like, I wasn't knowing what to expect. But thank you, Emily.
Melanie, always a great job. And yes, that actually did happen. And at first I didn't catch you were playing the role of the father, correct? So that's the first thing I was like, I can't wait to ask her about the daughter. And yeah, so it's a true story. Pretty crazy, huh? So now I'll introduce the evaluator for Rob, which is myself. And Rob's title of his speech was Reaching an Accord. And the objective was for him to employ a win-win negotiation strategy to achieve his goals and to enjoy the benefits of the win-win negotiating. So first and foremost, you did a fantastic job of just coming up here and telling us your objective. You made it clear. You weren't beating around the bush. We knew what your objective was, and that was to find a place to give your speech. And you did a fantastic job of giving kudos to your partner, Carol, who came up, and you did a nice job of telling about your relationship, how you met her, what she means to you. She's a mentor, but then you also said we're different. We have different ideas, and I think that's really, you were direct about that. You brought that out, which is important, because in most negotiations you've got two different conflicting ideas, and you were very direct with the audience about that. One area that I feel you could use a bit of improvement was the transitions, and I know Melanie mentioned this. It was a little unclear because you said, well, Carol's going to come up here for the role play, but then you continued to narrate a little bit, or I think give us a little bit more background. And I feel like if you would have come up and then just begun the role play and did a little bit less narrating of what was going on, it would have been a little bit more clear. I think you are very comfortable up here. You use great eye contact. I believe, let's see, you're very credible, and you got what you wanted. And I think Carol, she will hold up a fight and hold her ground, but I think ultimately you, at the end of the day, you did a very good job of achieving your goals, and I look forward to hearing your next speech.
Thank you.
And next I'm going to ask our all-counter and grammarian to come and give the grammarian report. Mr. Rick Barron.
Thank you, Michelle. Apparently, cogitation is a difficult word to use in everyday speech because Carol was the only one who used it in multiple occasions and in multiple ways. So even I was unable to use it when I came up here and did my Tabletopics response, even though there was a reminder right in front of me. Maybe next time I'll pick an easier word. So, in terms of the counter, this was an awesome meeting. It really was, in terms of the number of verbal crutches that I was able to catch. We'll start with the Tabletopics. In the Tabletopics, Bill, for somebody who's never been up here before, I caught one "so" as a transitional word, and I could even be convinced that that was required in the sentence that you used it in. Absolutely awesome. Most people get up here the first time and stumble all over their tongue. It was an absolute, wait till you see the tape. You did a fabulous job. Congratulations. In terms of Michelle's Tabletopics, you said something on the grammatical usage that was, it would probably likely be, that when you said it, I was like, I need to write that down. I'm not sure if that's right, but it just didn't sound right. It would probably likely be.
I wanted to get my point across.
There's probably a way to summarize that a little bit, few less words. Melanie, in your evaluation, you used the phrase, "like I said," and I know that's a commonly used one, but when you said it, I just jotted that one down going, there might be a better way to put a period there or something. And you had one that was it. For evaluations, they went beautifully, because most times people really struggle with what to say up here during evaluations. I believe that this had to be one of the best in terms of ahs and ums and grammatical usage. Maybe next time I'll pick a little bit easier word, and we can have a home run all the way around. Michelle?
Thank you, Rick. Also, as my role of general evaluator, I am required or supposed to give feedback about the meeting. So just a few thoughts from today's meeting. Fantastic that we had so many guests. It was a pleasant surprise. We weren't expecting our 3 guests, which we appreciate that you're here and hope that you'll consider coming back to join us at other times. We did get started a little bit later than we like to. We usually like to get in here, get things moving, get you guys out of here, so you can get home and enjoy the rest of your evening. But we did not have a director this evening, so we were kind of scurrying around, trying to fill, I used to use the word, fill the words or fill the position. So, and a lot of changing around of positions. So, next time we could try to tighten that up a little bit. Great feedback from Melanie. You always do a fantastic job of evaluating. I'm not going to give myself feedback on my evaluation, but I will watch it later and let you know what I should have done differently. Great speeches and fantastic Toastmaster for the day. So look forward to our next meeting, and I am now going to turn it back to the Toastmaster. Carol.
Thank you, Michelle. Great feedback. I enjoy that. We now come to the part of the meeting where we ask for comments from our guests, and I would like to start with Bill, who was our timer and also did a fantastic job with the icebreaker. Oh, yes. Okay, so we need to have Bill come up here and do his timing report. Yeah, I was thinking, I was
Thank you,
waiting
Carol.
for you to do that.
Thank you. Timing was very.
We shake hands.
Thank you very
We
much.
change control with.
Timing is very key to the meeting, keeps things going in the flow very nicely. The word of the day is very solid, the cogitation. Rick had minute 48, very solid. And then the participants for the table topics, Emily, 102, Michelle, minute and 7, Rick, 127, Bill had 101. And then moving right along to the speeches, advanced manual speeches, maybe longer. Emily, with 3 to 5 minute speech, came in at 5:02, very solid. Emily's 2 to 3 minute follow-up, 3 minutes and 50 seconds, very nice. And Rob, the 4 to 5 minutes, came in at 4 minutes 35 seconds for the first presentation. His next 3 to 5 minute was 4 minutes 55 seconds. And then Rob, 2 to 3 minute speech, came in at 3:06, very solid. And moving on to the evaluators, Michelle, 2 minutes, Melanie, 3 minutes 55. Rick with the grammarian was 2:26, and general evaluation for Michelle came in a solid 1 minute. Thank you very much.
Then don't we get, we return control.
Thank you very much.
Wow, you are joining, aren't you?
Yes, yes.
Oh, very good. You sure you haven't been a Toastmaster before?
No.
Wow. I am quite impressed. Thank you very much. Are you an engineer?
No, I'm an administrator.
Fantastic. I am overwhelmed. And I would like to hear from your son, Alex. And he was gracious enough to run the camera, if he would just give us his thoughts on what happened today, that running the camera and that new experience for you. So let us welcome Bill Thorner. You don't want to... Well, when you come up here and you talk and you find you didn't die, maybe you'll be able to do it easier next time.
I thought it was great, this meeting. I mean, I learned a lot. Hopefully I can build up the courage to come back and continue practicing, continue working on my public speaking, and hopefully I can get better over the next few weeks.
Very good. You have good eye contact already, so you have a lot good going for you already. Very good. And for our Randy, R-A-P-I-N, how do you pronounce that, Randy? Rappin.
W in front of it, you'll never get it wrong.
Rappin. Okay. Thank you very much. Randy Rappin, and he also ran a camera. Wow. Thank you very much, Randy.
Thank you very much.
This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and I'm really amazed at how good you people are really at this. Plus your multitasking abilities are amazing, okay? Checking times like that, taking notations, running the booths. You know, I'm standing over behind the camera here pretending like I know what I'm doing, but I'm certainly not. So thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. I hope you will come back. Thank you very much, Randy. And we do have a sign-up sheet somewhere for our next meeting where you can sign up for the roles that are open. And you can also go online, but if you do it a little earlier. And I would like to also mention we have leadership training. Wrap it up? Okay. So who's... Emily. We will wrap that up, and I'll tell you after, after we wrap up. Emily, our presiding officer.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I now adjourn our January 8th, 2015 meeting of TV Toastmasters Club number 9523.